Everything gets its purpose in Him. All right. That is why, if we want to find our purpose, and this is, I'm going to get into a bit of the theological underpinnings of this. That is why, if we want to find our purpose, generally, one of the things we need to do is to search the manual, the Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Search the manual. And when you search the manual, if you look throughout the scripture, you will come to the conclusions that we're going to come to today. And those of you who actually want to do a Bible study on how to find, scripture to support all of these things, we can do that sometime. We just pulled out the principles for this, for our purposes today. But you've got to search the manual. Because when you search the manual, you find God's nature. And when you find God's nature, guess what? God's nature is your identity. Why? He made you in His image. You want to know what you're here for? Look at what God is like. And be like that. Change your style. Change your style. Be like that. Be like that. That's why you are here. You are here to reflect on earth as it is in heaven. That's your purpose. So God's nature is your identity. And God's mission is your purpose. Why else are we here? If God is not a God, I'm going to prove to you, God is a God. I need to be very careful I don't get too preachy here, because this totally excites me. And those of you who haven't really begun to study and understand the Trinity, the triune God that Christians talk about, you need to. You need to, because you're missing out big time. So, you see that picture in Genesis 1, where the Bible says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And God talks about, and the Bible talks about how the Spirit of God was hovering upon the waters, and then God said, let there be, and there was. You see the same picture in John 1. Now, any Jew who reads John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, we immediately say, this guy is referring to Genesis. John intentionally picked that scripture to let us know he was about to introduce Christ, the Word that became flesh, the Word that was spoken, the Word that was light. Let there be light. That same picture is what John shows. Now, there's no time to go into all the details of it, but theologians call something perichoresis, which is the picture of God with Himself. God is one. And that's very important. If there's anybody who's a Muslim, you need to tell your brothers and Muslims, fellow Muslims, that Christians don't worship three gods. That's one argument they always make. That because we talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, worship three gods. Christians worship one God. He's one God who exists in three persons. If it were possible, and the scientists here can tell me, because it's not a very, all the analogies we try, they fall short, because it's a mystery. But the closest that if it were possible to have water and ice and steam at the same time, that would be God. But by the time you get to 0 degrees Celsius, you can't have steam. Right? Because God is not, if you use the analogy that God is like water, that's one form. It's still H2O. You heat it up, that steam is still H2O. But to get that, you have to change from one form to another. God doesn't have to change from one form to another to become another part of God. And then you have to freeze the water to become a block before you get another form. God exists in all three forms at the same time. Now, why is this important? Because right at the beginning, the Bible says, the beginning, the Word was with God. The Word was God. Was with God and yet was God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The Spirit of the Lord was hovering upon. Listen, God exists in community with Himself. God exists in this perfect community of knowing Himself, loving Himself, worshiping Himself. When I hear people say like, oh, the only thing we have to do for God, we worship, what do they say? Let's worship God because the only thing God cannot do for Himself is worship Himself. Who told you that? The Father loves the Son loves the Spirit. Says, you are my Son, in you I am well pleased, and you are my Father, I do nothing without you. It's beautiful. So the 10 perichoresis is a perfect dance. God is in a perfect dance with himself. You don't see three people. Why is this important? Because God is equal. That is why Genesis 1:26, God said, let us make man. Let us make man. Elohim. Let us make man. This is important because God is in community. God is in community and on mission. So God is not just there doing nothing. God is on mission. God is on mission to extend his glory. That all will worship him. In fact, even creation itself, many theologians believe creation itself is a missional act because God created to extend his glory. And that's why he told Adam and Eve, spread. Spread to the ends of the earth. Spread. Let my glory, let my fame, let my name be known. God is on a mission to glorify himself, bring a blessing to people, and to destroy evil and establish his kingdom. Alright? So God is in community and mission. Now, this is going to be very important as we come to talk about our purpose. Because if we're created in his image, then we're created to be in community. And this is a community of love, of wisdom, of knowledge, of power, of worship. We were created to be in community. And if God is on mission, he's not just a force sitting there with nothing to do. Then we must be on mission and on his mission. So when you search through the scriptures, you come to things like that. Of course, you want to find your purpose, ask God, right? It's called prayer. And here we're getting to a bit more specifics because even without praying, when you search God's word, you will know generally what your purpose is. And that is why I insist on using this approach, because if some of you are crying, you want God to show you the specific thing you have had to do. But the general things he has shown you, you are not doing. He will not show you. You need to know. You need to be doing what he brought you here. And then if there are specifics, he will lead you to that. So generally search the scriptures, ask, and then godly observant mentors are very helpful. Because sometimes we can't even tell how we are shaped. Or when people are able to look at us, you're not feeling it? You have a pen? Don't you feel it? Right, mentors are able to read, sometimes tell our lives. I realize that there's a 7 to 10 year pattern in my life. Somebody brought it to my attention. Sometimes mentors are able to help us in that way. And then this is what we call the common sense approach. Look at your shape. You want to find your purpose, look at your shape. We'll come to that again, but S stands for your spiritual gifts. God has given you certain spiritual gifts. Obviously, his purpose is for you to use them. He's giving you some heartfelt passions. Some things really move you. Anybody tell us one thing you're passionate about? What's one thing you're passionate about? Heartfelt passion.
I used to manufacture something, come up with something.
You love to manufacture. Great. He has a passion for manufacturing. Abilities, talents, that's what we talked about. She loves to write, she's good at writing. P is your personality, all right? And then E is your experiences. Everything about you, God will use. Remember Romans 8:28, God will use everything. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. Okay? So remember that, look at your shape. It gives you an idea of what your purpose is. When I look at a fish, nobody has to tell me that a fish has to be in water. It's been shaped that way for it to be in water. Okay, it's very important to look at the shape. Even the English have an expression, square pegs in round holes. There are many square pegs in round holes. Look at your shape. Now you're here to practice medicine in Ghana. You see that there are many doctors who should be doctors. Anyway, that's another subject. Okay. So we're going to get into some nitty-gritty very soon. But so to summarize, 5 fundamental truths about your purpose. The first one is this: life is not about you. This is very important. I keep talking about God. I keep talking about God. It's all about God. If we're here to talk about mission statement, our purpose statement, and it has not a focus on God, it is not reflecting the image of God, it's not reflecting the mission of God, we've missed it. We've missed it. And maybe you're sitting here thinking, man, I didn't know I was coming to church. That's not the point. The point, and some of you, who heard me on Sunday from yesterday? Did you hear me talking about dog theology and cat theology? They say I have 30 minutes left, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But let me quickly summarize. A friend of mine in Dubai, we were in Dubai about a month ago, and he came to tell me about this. I was like, that's interesting. So he says, the difference between a cat and a dog is this. A dog says, you love me, you feed me, you love me, you pet me, you shelter me. You must be God. You're so good to me, you must be God. The cat, on the other hand, same conditions. You feed me, you love me, you pet me, you shelter me. I must be God. As we talk about purpose, it's about Him. No matter. This is so important. I'm listening to sermons since I came back, and so I'm like, how many of these things are about God and His purpose and His mission and His glory? It's me. Give me. I got this. I take this. It's not about us. And many of us are going to realize it too late that it's all about Him. It's so bad that some of us actually think God was made for us. Yeah, we use Him. He's just like an ATM. We use Him for our ends. Ladies and gentlemen, as we write this mission statement, if it does not reflect the mission of God, it does not reflect the glory of God, you've missed it. You've missed it. So remember that life is not about you. Now, I want you to write this so that it really hurts you. Write it in capitals. Life is not about me. You can add out. Life is not about me. So life is not about me, it's all about God. Life is not about me, it's all about other people. And those are the two things Jesus said. Jesus said the most important commandment is to love God, the next is to love people. And we'll come and unpack a bit of that. And I'm not an accident. This is very important. Even if your parents did not plan you, God knew you were coming. I am not an accident. So you need to find your purpose. And you are unique. So don't despise it. And don't imitate. Don't try to be like somebody else. Somebody said, I'd rather be a bad original of myself than a perfect photocopy of somebody else. You're unique. I've never met a Ghanaian medical doctor pastoring a Chinese church in Canada. I'm unique. So are you. And finally, you are loaded. God has gifted you with so much. You want to get into crystallizing all of that into a mission statement. Can somebody read Jesus' purpose statement there, mission statement there? Jesus had a mission statement. He did not just come to walk around and then he knew his mission, and so he could say at the end of his life, it's finished. If you don't know what you're here to do, how can you say it's finished? He knew exactly what he had come to do, and in 3.5 years he was done. Actually, that's not fair. In 33.5 years. But think about it. He spent 30 years preparing for a 3.5-year mission. A crazy generation in this country. People start business. No, Charlie, when the profit day. The source of the impatience and the sakawa and all this stuff. 30 years to prepare for a 3.5-year mission. Tell me whether or not it was a successful mission. That's another thing. Can you read this mission statement for us?
Spirit of the Lord is on me, because He has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me.
Did he say he came to do business? You didn't hear about personal mobility like Ford or refreshing people like Coca-Cola. He knew exactly what he came to do. He says, I came to preach the good news. Go on.
He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
Jesus had a clear mission statement, a clear purpose statement. What about you? So kindly write out this definition of a purpose statement that I put this together, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago. A mission statement or a purpose statement is an inspiring and empowering document that, in your own words, affirms your commitment. This too should be there. Affirms your commitment to God's general purposes for your life. That's why I spend all this time affirming God's general purposes for your life. You must be committed to them. A lot of people write mission statements, especially people who are not Christian, who don't have a theology of this, and it's all about what they want to do. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. If you look at it technically, it's only one aspect of the 5 things we are here to do. And they may not even get it right, because the fact that you have an idea to do something doesn't mean it's a God idea. So it affirms your commitment to God's general purposes for your life. It expresses your specific sense of purpose and meaning in life. And then it expresses your values. Remember your coat of arms. Desirable character traits. Some of you mentioned that in the things you want to improve. It wasn't a skill, it was a character trait. Your role goals. Goals is in inverted commas because technically it's not a goal as in something I want to achieve next year, next 2 years. It's more of a life thing. For your various roles in life, as a father, as a professional, blah, blah, blah. Invariably, your mission statement will paint a picture of the kind of legacy you want to, how do you want to remember. Alright? It took a lot to put this definition together because everyone I saw I was not satisfied with. And so I cooked various things, and at that time, Ben and all those guys were there, so we kind of honed this together. It's an inspiring and empowering document that, in your own words, affirms your commitment to God's general purposes for your life and expresses your specific sense of purpose and meaning in life, your values, desirable character traits, and role goals, invariably painting a picture of the kind of legacy you want to leave. Alright, so there are some characteristics of a purpose statement I would like us to walk through, and then I'll share some benefits of a purpose statement. I don't have that slide for that, but I'll do my best. I was having technical challenges. Every time the program kept crashing. And then we'll get to some practicals. Alright. So what are the characteristics of a purpose statement? Now there's a reason why we prefer to use the word purpose instead of mission statement. Because one of the purposes we'll be talking about that you have is mission. And when we say mission, we mean God's mission. So we like to use purpose so that we can distinguish that word mission from, of course, God's mission is your purpose. Alright? So that's why we like to say purpose statement. Number one is principle centered. What do we mean by that? This whole idea of mission statement is based on certain principles, and I share some of them from scripture. But one of the important principles this thing is based on is something called the law of first creation. That everything is created twice. Everything is created twice. First, mentally, or even spiritually, before physically. Alright, so before they put up this building, there was a blueprint. It was finished, this building was finished before it was started. Even when you're doing essays, you're writing essays in school, don't you finish the essay before you start? Oh? Yeah, you know, this introduction, body, conclusion. So how come your life, you are just going? Where's your first creation? Upon which you are doing the second creation. So it's based on many principles, including that. And then it's character-based. As we go through a mission statement, you realize that it's not just a matter of, I want to do, I want to do. It's a lot about being. And in fact, we talk about the fact that we want to be like God because He made us in His image. It has a lot to do with character, it has a lot to do with values and things like that. Because at the end of the day, who said that we are not human doings? We are human beings. In fact, I want to dare say this. I found it very hard when I heard it at first. But I now believe it with all my heart, well, almost all my heart. Who you are is more important than what you do. For a long time, I used to think that they were together. I'll keep them in balance. Who you are is as important than what you do. No. Because everything you do will be affected by who you are. So who you are is more important than what you do. Anyway. So it's character-based, it's holistic because it addresses all the purposes of life and all the fundamental needs, physical, spiritual, social, mental, so it's holistic. And then it captures your heartfelt values. We talked a lot about that. What's a value? Okay. Alright. And it's good that it's written. Again, this is one of the important principles. It's said that something you write down, you are how many times more likely to accomplish. It's talk about psychosomatic, things. It's important that it's written. Write down your mission statement. Don't just say it's in my head. Write it down. There's a power in writing. Write the vision. Make it plain. God said to Habakkuk. All right, but not in a day. In other words, if you don't finish today, that's fine. Take your time. Pray about it. Fast about it. Some of us are doing a 21-day fast. During that time, keep asking God, are there things I should put in my mission statement? Are there values deep down that I don't even realize? Because one of the things about your values is whenever you do something breaking your value, you know it. Down there, there's something that goes. So not in a day, right? And then agrees with God's script for your life. We talked about that a lot. I told God that today I was coming here to make you big, to make you look big, because there's just too much pettiness going on. Let God be glorified. It represents the deepest and the best within you. Okay? It's self-transcendent. I like that. Because it talks about how you are going to contribute. It talks about a purpose higher than you. Because in your mission statement, you're talking about God and His mission. You're talking about being a blessing to people and things like that. It's not me. It's self-transcendent. You know trans, right? Transport, translucent, transparent. Trans is across. It cuts across you. It's not about you. It goes beyond you. There's spaces here. Now speaking American, there are spaces here. There's spaces here. Alright. Then, of course, it has the fundamental questions of life answered, because everybody has questions they ask themselves in life. Why am I here? Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I from? Where am I going? Things like that. Alright, and it deals with all the roles in your life. We'll come and talk about that. It's unique. I don't expect your mission statement to be the same as mine because you are not me. The general framework will be the same. If you have a mission statement that is not talking about glorifying God and talking about God's mission and things like that, are very suspect. We all will talk about that, but the way we're going to go about it is different because we are all unique. And then it becomes a standard by which you measure everything else. It's not a list of goals, because William will come and talk to us about how goals are different from purpose statement. And then this is very important. One of the things I'm going to ask us to do when I'm done is to start developing our own mission statement. I'll show you a couple of examples. But one of the things I'll tell you is that if you have something in your mission statement you don't want me to know, because it's so personal and so, I'd rather you don't show me your mission statement than write something just to show me. You get what I'm saying? Because it's your thing. It's your personal constitution. It's your thing. Okay? So I don't share my mission statement with everybody. But those who decide to complete their mission statements, when you are done, I'll share mine with you too. One-on-one. Okay, good. So let me see, will I have time to talk about why this is important? Okay, let me do that. Okay, I don't think I have a slide for that. So let's do this raw power, like your lectures, some of your lecturers do. Why is it important to have a personal mission statement? The first reason is it provides the basis of foundation of the desired results in your life. Because we're talking about the law of first creation, right? Without the first creation, there will be no second creation. But the second thing is that it's as much an act of discovery as it is an act of. You think you are creating something, but in the process of creating, you discover a lot about yourself. How many of you discovered something about yourself just by starting the coat of arms exercise? Something you have not maybe thought about. What did you discover?
for some time I realized that I have been getting people to do specific tasks and goals, but in different facets of our different areas. I've never really condensed them to the point where I know that this is what I've actually been doing over a period of time.
Right.
Just when I was about to put this together, then I realized that, oh, I've been doing that.
This and that and that and that. What is the connection? Alright, so yes, it is a matter of you are going to discover a lot about yourself. Alright, it encourages you, even forces you to think about the direction of your life. Because many of us don't stop to think. It helps you to examine your motives. I like the fifth one. It defines success for you. Success for all of us is not going to be the same thing. Will success for Ford Motor Company be the same as success for Nike? Why will success for him be the same as success for you? Depending on what God is calling you to do, right? The general things are the same, but the specific things will be different, right? Number 6, it expands your horizon. Remember, you begin to look about things that are self-transcendent. It provides inspiration. Whenever I read my mission statement, I'm inspired. It clarifies your values and ensures your commitment to them. Whenever I read my mission statement, I realize all over again that my family is of value to me. It's very easy to forget that. It makes you consciously work. I'm feeling it at the same time as you. Consciously work on your character. Thank you. It provides an impetus and framework for the fulfillment of your unique nature. It gives meaning to your life. I'm trying to remember the 12 more. I'll come to that. The 13th one, it focuses your life. You know, there are some things I don't do because I don't do. I always share the example of when I got the opportunity to become a journalist. I wasn't called to be a journalist, and it was an offer from CNN. I didn't even think twice. I said, I'm sorry. There are many places I could be this morning. I am not there. I'm very focused. And my wife can tell you can ask her. That's something I just will do because I know what God called me to do. If you know your purpose, it focuses your life. Alright? Oh, I like this one. The choice between good things and God things is simpler. In other words, it's not everything that is good that is godly, it's God. David wanted to build a temple for God. Was that a good thing? Yeah. Was that a God thing? No, because it's a good thing, but it's not for you to do. Right? When you know your purpose. And I keep saying that. It's something my dad taught me. He said, one day he said to me, this is like 10 years ago, he said, yeah, sometimes you're too busy. If the devil doesn't get you to be lazy, he'll get you to be busy. You achieve the same thing. And he said, for you, a lot of your choices in life are not going to be between what is good and what is good. A lot of your choices are going to be between what is good and what is best. It's a good thing to be here this morning. Maybe God was calling you to be somewhere else. Sorry. I like number 15. You know who to marry. Yeah. That is important. I wish I had. We have to do a whole seminar on that. Because it's not everybody who can go where God is taking you. You can go and come and ask Ruby, how many times her husband is away, teaching here, preaching there, working in the hospital. Go and ask my wife, how many times she has to go to bed alone. How many times she has to drag 5 children into a van.
You have 5 kids.
Yes, I have 5.
Longer.
So far. 2 more to go. Ladies and gentlemen, if I hadn't married Angeli, I don't know where I'll be today. Not everybody can go where God is taking you. And that's why you should know where you're going. And I keep saying, you don't know where you're going. I keep saying, asking someone, oh, come, let's go. It's like, where are you going? Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. Where are you going? Oh, let's go. Don't marry somebody who doesn't know where they're going. If you're not married, if you're married and you did too bad. No, it's not too bad. There's nothing God can't do. All right. I want to jump this part, the rest, because, by the way, number 19, it provides a basis and framework for setting smart goals. Now, when you have a mission statement, the R in SMART is taken care of. William is going to talk about that. But the R in SMART is relevant. Your goals must be relevant. You can set goals that are not relevant. But the goals you set must be relevant to your purpose in life, okay? And then it prepares you for eternity. I want us to fill this table because it will capture the 5 purposes that God has for you, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, your purpose is to be like Him. We call that discipleship. Right? How is God like? I want to be like Him. Oh, didn't Jesus say the most important commandment is to love God and love people? Why are you saying, oh yeah, God is love? I want to be that. Everything God is, I want to be. You are here to be like Him, and you're here to do like Him. Alright? And so those two already capture 2 of the most important missions. But I want to break down these things into 5 to make it easier to understand. I could easily keep those 2. As somebody who studies theology, I can keep the fact that we're here to be like Him and to do like Him, and I'll be fine. But we're breaking down some of the doing into 3 different things to make it easier for all of us. Alright, so number 1, you're here to be like Him. Alright, so discipleship is becoming like God. How do you feel that? It's a B. Everything at the B starts with a B. Becoming like God. Becoming like God. It doesn't mean one day we'll become God. Though. That's a very different theology. It's one of the Latter-day Saints theologies. No. Be like Him in character. Alright? And the things He's done for us to reflect Him. Be like Him. We are here to be like Him. Let us make man in our image. Anytime you are not behaving like Him, you are missing out on your purpose. You're missing out on your purpose. This is so important, ladies and gentlemen, because many people want to find out, God, am I called to be a doctor or a nurse? That is very specific. But if you're not being like Him in the first place, who cares whether you're a doctor or nurse? You are devilish anyway. Be like Him. The second purpose is you are here to be in community. Does this sound familiar? God is in community. Alright? Communities being in God's family. Alright? 3, we're here to worship. No, the same page. I'm just going down. Oh, yours is on 2 different pages. How did that happen? Oh, okay, the printing is different. Yours is the correct one. Alright? So we're here to be like Him, belong to His family. Alright? We're here to bring Him glory. That's worship. We're here to bring Him glory. Like they also say, bring Him pleasure. Alright? That's what we're here to do. Oh, that's what we're here to do. Number 4, we're here to be of service, to be of use. Alright? To God's people. Is there people there? You got lost. To God's people. Alright? And then finally we're here to, this is very important. Beam, as in to shine light. Beam and boom. Boom is to speak, right? Proclaim. Beam is to demonstrate, show. Boom is to proclaim. We are here to beam and to boom the reign of God. That is what mission is. Letting people by demonstration and announcement the reign of God. God Alright. So we are here on mission. Now, let me try not to deviate. How many of you are coming for the mission conference next week? Hey, only 2 people. You have to be on the mission of God. What is the mission of God? God is in community, right? God is in community. In a community knowing Himself, worshiping Himself, loving Himself, God is in this perfect community, and God opens up and says, I want you to be part of the community. That's what we go out to do in mission, inviting people to be part of God's community, right? God is on a threefold mission. God is on a mission, number one, to bring himself glory. This is a simple way to remember it. Those of you are not going to be there next week. God is on a mission, number one, toward himself, to bring himself glory. Number two, towards people, to bring people a blessing. And number three, against evil, to destroy evil and establish his kingdom. That is God's mission. And so if we say that you have a mission, your mission is God's mission. And again, when we say bringing God glory, if you're doing worship, you are fulfilling God's mission. Being a blessing to people. If you are serving, service is your purpose. You're fulfilling God's mission. If you're destroying evil to establish his kingdom, you are again fulfilling his mission. Okay? So that's why I said I can easily say that discipleship and mission, we are done. That is your two purposes. Now we're kind of broken it down further so you don't miss it. And that's the way we're wiring people anyway, so it's easier that way. Okay, so you got all the B, but you know these are the 5 reasons you're on earth. You're here to be like him, you're here to be in community, belong to God's family, you're here to bring him glory or bring him pleasure. I love that. We can have scripture on this, like Revelation 4, verse 12, 11 and 12. We are here to be of use to God's people. We are here to boom and beam, or beam and boom the reign of God. Alright. The others are different ways to express the same thing. Should I go through it or should we? I have 5 minutes. What should I use my 5 minutes for? Because I want us to start exploring these things. Okay. Let me. Should I go down or should I go side? Side is better for you? Side is better. Okay. So, discipleship number 1 is what? The B rendition is what? Being like God. Alright? Alright. And we'll never have known how God was like really until he showed us himself in Christ. If you do what Jesus did, if you look like him, you will look like God. Okay. So be like God. C, discipleship, we're talking about the character of your life. F, discipleship helps to fortify your character. Okay? Helps you to fortify your character. Discipleship are principles to live by. The double letter rendition is, this one is CC, created for Christ-likeness. Created for Christ-likeness. And then discipleship definition, love definitions, loving God's will and way. The Great Commandment, we took that from the Great Commission in Matthew 28, as well as Jesus' Great Commandment, love God, love people. So discipleship will be, Jesus said, teach them to obey. That is discipleship. Teaching people to obey everything I've commanded you. Teach them to obey. Are you lost? You are good? Okay. Teach them to obey. So the command is to teach them to obey while you obey yourself. That's the discipleship. Alright? Community or fellowship. Alright? B is belonging to God's family. C is the community of your life. The community of your life. So belonging to God's family, the community of your life. F, community helps you to face life's problems. P is people to live with. People to live with. You've been formed for family. Alright? The community definition of the love rendition, loving people. So discipleship is loving God's will and way. Community is about loving people. And Jesus said, baptize them into. Remember the Great Commission? He said, baptize them into. When, because this theology is worrying me. When you become included in Christ, you be baptized into Him. So what we do in water, is just a physical demonstration of. That's why Paul says there's one baptism. But really, some people are sprinkled, some people are dunked, some people are. There are all kinds of baptisms, but all those are just physical manifestations. There's only really one baptism. You are baptized in Christ. You made a part of Him. A part of this triune God who's in perfect relationship with Himself and invites you to be part of Him. When you believe in Christ, you are made a part of Him. You are baptized into Him. But also you are baptized into a family. The only reason why Ruby and I are related is because of Christ. I mean, we can't say they're Ghanaians, blah, 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 we can just leave it like that. I'm related to them because we're both baptized into Christ. This is baptized and new people. Alright, so that's a very important commandment that we've been given. Alright, that makes you part of this group of people. Everybody, when you come to a baptism, everybody knows that guy is now part of this family, is part of this crowd. Okay? So we are here for discipleship, we are here for community, we are here for worship. I like that. Bring God pleasure. Sorry. Worship is the center of your life. I like what worship helps you to do. Worship helps to focus on God. Focus on God. Worship is the praise you live for. You live for His praise, not your own praise. Please live for His praise. Double letter rendition. Plan for pleasure. You've been planned for God's pleasure. Ooh, I love that. Worship is about loving God. The great commandment is to love God with all your heart. To love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Service. Now my time is up. Let's stop. Okay. Service is being of use to God's people, right? It's a contribution of your life. What is your life going to contribute? Don't forget, the mission of God is to bring glory to Himself, but it's also to bring a blessing to people. I will bless you and make you a blessing. The contribution of your life. Alright? Worship service helps you to find your talents. You've been saved for service. Oh no, sorry, shaped for service. Shaped for service. You've been given a spiritual gift, a passion, an ability, a personality to be shaped for service. Oh, no, I missed that. No, the P rather. Oh, I'm sorry. P is a profession. Sorry, profession to live out. So if you're going to be like he just became a doctor by profession, that's the way he's going to serve his generation. So a profession, writer, that's a profession, or one of the things she does. Different from the mission in terms of what you're going to speak to people about God. That's a profession to speak out. That is a profession to live out. Alright? You'll be shaped for serving, love, rendition. What do you think it will be? If discipleship is loving God's will and way, community is loving people. Okay. Loving God's people. Worship is loving God. What do you think service will be? Loving God's work. Exactly. Loving God's work. All right. So now I've been asked to sit down. This is going to be your assignment. Please, in the next few days, think about a sentence or two that will affirm your commitment to discipleship, to community, worship, service, and mission. And then write it down in your own words. I'm going to give you an example very soon. And then secondly, these are the 5 parts of a mission statement. When you get these 5 parts, these 5 ingredients, you can make the soup with it. Secondly, consider your shape. Alright? What are your spiritual gifts? What are your heartfelt passions? What are your abilities and talents? What are your personality traits? What are experiences? Put these things down. Then come to your values. What are your values? I just shared some of them with you. Integrity is one of my key values. Character. What are the character traits you want to acquire? What are those you want to get rid of? Write them down. And then finally, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to say when you're done? Sam already gave us an example. She stated the facts. She did what is right. What was your thing again? Do it right. I said he died empty. He said he finished his assignment. What do you want people to say about you when you're done? All right. So very similar to a coat of arms. This was just the beginning. All right. Now you're going to go into a bit more details. Let me end by showing you these 2 examples. And these are 2 real people. This is not fake. I actually helped them to do this about 15 years ago. I hope they're living it. I haven't seen them in a long time. Who wants to read God's way statement for us? I'm done. Who wants to read God's way statement? Okay, I will. Now, as she reads, I'd like you to note what is it in this thing that talks about discipleship. What is it that talks about community? What is it that talks about worship? What is it that talks about, alright? So if you find something, stop it there and say, that's worship, or whatever. Okay, so start.
For each day that I am alive, I know the purpose is to bring pleasure to the living God.
What is that? Worship. Good, go on.
My soul shall rejoice always in the house of God among my fellow believers.
Does that sound like something? Pardon? Community. Yeah, it could be service too, but it's strongly community. Go on.
Each day, I want to be more loving,
Ooh.
more merciful, more compassionate, and more forgiving, and more like Christ.
What does that sound like? Discipleship, right? I desire to elevate shyness. And so when you write about, you make your general statement about discipleship, then you come and pick the things that are your values and put them there. And the character traits you want to acquire, you put them there, all under discipleship. And those you want to discard as well, you put them all under discipleship. So for example, he says that what? I desire to eliminate shyness and anxiety while improving my attitude towards children. Okay? And then he starts talking about his values. Go ahead.
I value education and wealth. I want to give all that I have and all that I am to people who loves me and to them God. It shall always be Jesus first, myself last, others in between. My purpose is to be a father to orphans, leaving property and wealth for them. I surrender my...
What does this sound like? Pardon? Service. Service, that's right. And so when you talk about, you make a general statement about your service, now come and look at your shape. And then talk about how you're going to use your shape to serve. Because we're all going to serve. That's God's purpose for us. But my spiritual gifts may be different from yours. Even if we have the same spiritual gifts, we may have different passions. So our age may be different. Or our age will be different. But certainly our personality will be different. Our experiences for sure will be different. So everyone's going to talk about service, but your shape is going to be different from my shape. That's what will make you realize, this is Ruby. Or, this is Aquil's mission statement. Okay, so he made a general statement, my purpose is to be a father to orphans, and then he started talking about specific ways he's been shaped to serve. Alright? Can you guess why he says he wants to be a father to orphans?
He's an orphan.
He's an orphan. Have you seen how his experience? I don't have orphans in my mission statement. It's not that I don't care about them. God cares about orphans. But I'm not as passionate about orphans as he is because he's got the experience. Alright. And look at what he says about mission. My purpose, can you read that?
My purpose is to help people to discover the path to God, to come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ personally before I leave the surface of this earth.
Right.
This shall be my legacy, that people will really feel the absence of fun and laughter when I am not there. I want to die having left a home for many orphans and a great invention for Ghana and the world.
Excellent. Well, isn't it a beautiful statement? I trust yours is going to be more beautiful than that. Alright. A lady to read the last one for us before this book kicked me in the head. The first one was guys. This is a girl. So this is a girl where the guys, you need a girl, and the guys should be girls. Oh, two girls. No. Okay, we'll let you read because we want an East African flavor. Alright, Pauline.
They want to see and do all the life they delightful in your sight, an instrument of worship.
So it's clear, right?
I long to be in your presence, to see in the faces of others your glory.
What does that sound like? Worship, but it sounds like something else. Well, discipleship too. I mean, he wants to see, God's face in God's glory in people's faces. That's a good one. But also something, it reflects something else. Community, fellowship. I like to be in the presence of others, right? Go ahead, Pauline.
May I be a true reflection of yourself as I value truthfulness and purity of heart. I desire to be more kind, more patient, less easily agitated, and do away with anger.
So you see about the discipleship, and then she's specific about how she wants to look like Christ. The values as well as the things she wants to discard and the things she wants. Yes, go ahead.
I have a passion for babies.
Ooh.
As I use my unique ability in handling children and babysitting, may I find happiness in their service, and never grow tired of taking care of the people you have created in your image that you care so much about. I yield my educational experience as a McGee to
At
this
that time, she was a medical student. I won't be surprised if she's a pediatrician now. That would be awesome.
I yield my educational experience as a McGee to this service. May I hear the voice of God in the quiet, serene environments which I love, and may my quiet, cool, and collected nature attract others to Him. I want to be a role that people will take to God.
I love that statement. See, a statement of our mission. I want to be a road that people take to God. Ay, ay, ay. All right.
When all is said and done, that the following shall be said of him. Mame was a good person, ever ready to share. One who always had a listening ear for anybody who needs something to say.
So may God help you to put these different parts together. Make sure you do the 5 parts first. Affirming the general purposes, then come to your specific shape, then come to your values, talk about the character traits you want to acquire, and those you want to be discarded, and then how you want to be remembered. Alright? Let this be a good snapshot of that. I'm actually thinking about creating a family shield for my family. So I know he's very artistic, he'll probably help me with that. And we also have a family mission statement. Time will allow me to share that with you. But usually our family takes a Sabbath on Mondays because pastors can't take Sunday anymore. On Mondays when we have our Sabbath, one of the things we do is we read our family mission statement. HuD, what's our vision for our family? Four. That's our vision for our family. That our family will be an incubator for hatching godly, effectual servant leaders for the nation of God. And he knows that. I don't teach things I don't do. I have a family mission statement. I have a personal mission statement. My wife has a personal mission statement. The first 3 days of every month since we've been married 11 years, we fast and pray. One of the things we do at that time is we pray our mission statements. And then we reflect, we read our goals and reflect and see what we must do about it. So these are here, things don't just happen. May God help us.
First is having to do a presentation after the outbreak. It takes it to a different level. Yeah. And then next is to do a presentation with my sunshine here. So God will give grace today. But we're doing executive goal setting, and like we are referred severally during this presentation. And I hope you didn't read the sticks for what I'm going to do. But when you discover purpose, you don't sit and stare. You now have to strategize. How do I ensure that I execute? And particularly, it's a good time of the year to be considering these questions, because if we started this 3rd week of next year, someone would say, "Oh, I've given up already." So there's no point. So this is about the time people begin to think, how do I make the most of the coming season? So we thought we'd put this training through to equip us to better. In fact, for this particular year, for the corporate wing of the HuD group, the HuD Consult, this has been our most sought after training module for corporates and for professionals. So I hope that it will help position us to make the most of our days in 2018. So I'm William. In the HuD circles, I'm William. I am willing if I'm able. I hope that's cool. That's easy. I practice medicine, but I also serve as the country CEO of the HuD group, which is the most exciting of the 2 roles. The HuD group, just for introduction, is a leadership, mentoring, and consulting organization. We're big on this. We're big on 3 H's: the head, the heart, and the hands. So our goal is to give you something for the head, something for the heart, and something for the hands as well. Someone said that that's the the purpose of any holistic education is to give, not just give you head knowledge, but also character formation as well. So we engage the heart, we enlighten the head with skills, empower the hands with skills, empower the head with knowledge, empower the heart with character development traits of emerging leaders for global impact. And we don't just want to do that for the impact's sake or for the funds, but for God's glory. Few of our flagship program. But yes, that's my family. So those who are doubting Sunshine is part of my family. Then two. We have two boys, Sumpa and Asempa. And that's my leadership team. So executive goal setting, you have a worksheet, notes. So we're going to look at priorities for goal setting, principles of goal setting, the practice of goal setting, and then we will conclude. Our hope is that we can finish all of this in good time, so that for those of you who want to hang around and work through, so that you get someone to review, especially for your mission statement and those who will be doing some goal setting here. We have a template also in your file. The template is in two parts. One is for personal and one for the professional. I'll explain how you can complete all of that, but they are very useful to help you meet your goals for the year. All right. Now, as a young teen leaving secondary school, one of the quotes that left a great impression on me, you know, when seniors are leaving, they pick a pen or something, they inscribe something on the wall and then say, "Was here some." Now, when I was in first year, there was this quote I found. And I found it so profound, but from an unlikely source. Because the guy who had initialed and he wasn't kind of one of those that you expect to put up such a quote. But it went like this: beneath the plains of hesitation lies the sun-bleached bones of many untold millions who on the verge of success decided to wait, and while waiting, they died. Beneath the plains of hesitation lies the sun-bleached bones of many untold millions who on the verge of success decided to wait, and while waiting, they died. It was only until a few years recently when I discovered that he plagiarized it. Because the original was by Adler Erwin Stevenson, and he put it this way. He says, "On the plain of hesitation lies the blackened bones of countless millions who at the dawn of victory lay down to rest, and while resting, they died." But I still think that his carries, it has some spirit to it, so we'll still credit him. But that becomes the story of many people year in, year out. We have great ideas, great goals, and yet we do not complement it with the requisite skills, especially not just the goal setting, but the goal getting bit. And I hope that this in 2018, we will not just set goals, but we will achieve those goals. I found this statement, and it's by Bishop Titi of I found it to be very instructive. He says, every one of us lives in 3 moments of execution. Number 1, those who are doing yesterday's things today. Those who are doing today's things today. And those who are doing tomorrow's things today. Which one are you living? If you look back at 2012, where would you place yourself? Were you the one who was doing yesterday's things today? Which really means you are like catching up. All the time, you seem like that you are living on an emergency. You know, one thing to the other. You should have done, oh, this thing, I should have done it like yesterday. And then you get to it now, only to discover that the one that you should have done today has also been left undone. So tomorrow you're still repeating yesterday's things today. It'll be good if we get to the point where we can do today's things today, but even better if we can leapfrog, so that we are now defining what really happens. So what's a goal? Anyone? What's a goal? Yes, Ejiri. Something new. Something you want to achieve. Oh, I thought we'll appreciate him. Usually, the first one to speak is the most difficult, so he makes it less easier for the rest of us. Yeah. So, but it's something you want to achieve as a goal. Anyone else?
And the ball hits the net.
Of course. Yeah, when the ball hits the net. So the goal of a football game is to what? Get the ball. But well, it depends on which side of the net it is. Because something like side netting. So yes, or own goal. Anyway, I put these three about four of them together. There's really no one that is more preferred than the other. But a goal is an aim or desired result. It is the object of a person's ambition or effort. So an aim or desired result is a goal. The object of a person's ambition or effort is a goal. And so for every one of us here, especially the ladies here who are married, at some point in your life you were somebody's goal. Because you were the object of the person's ambition or efforts. And how that they will walk the Sahara to and cross oceans, but all of that was only in script. And it's the destination of a journey. How do you want 2018 to end? How is your life going to be like? It's the point marking the end of a race. That's some definitions of goals and so what then is goal setting? Goal setting becomes the practice of making dreams a reality through a conscious approach of planning, implementation, and evaluation. Most people will do planning, say, well, this is what I want to do, etc., etc. But few will move from planning and get on to implementation. Well, let's do the things that we ought to do in order to achieve the things that we say we want to see. But even fewer still do evaluation. Because sometimes, no matter how good you are and how hard you try, there are times that you will not meet the target. So what you do, you just say, oh, this goal, this goal is not for mortals. But you ought to evaluate, how am I faring, so that you can get back on track or implement the necessary corrections. I found this infographic. I thought it was good. It says, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. Oh, I didn't hear some of you. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. And a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dream. So that's all we're going to do. Oh, I think a good summary, we can close now. But we're going to dream, and I'm sure that all of us here are dreamers. And then we're going to date it, put timelines to it, targets that we can measure, and then plan, strategize. How do we achieve this? And then we would believe God to make it a reality. Why is goal setting important? Anyone? Why is it important to set goals? Yes. You are what?
Enlightened.
Enlightened is a goal. It does what?
It's focus.
It gives you focus. So some sharp laser precision. You know, you're focused on what you want to do so much so that you are not distracted. Now for many people who don't set goals, you realize that you live people's goals. Because they will come to you and say that, oh Charlie, you know, my friend's sister's cousin's brother is, you know, so let's go. Okay, then you also follow. you'll be running people's agenda, which is not bad if that is your goal, or that's how you describe your purpose statement, to be a friend to everyone, you know. So it fits in if that's your purpose. But, so anyone else? Why do we say goals? Yes.
It gives life
You are
precious for me.
precious for me. It gives
Life direction.
life direction, all right? It saves time. How true. Well, I think we should clap for it. This one is presented by us. But how true, it saves time, because if you set a goal and you have, you know what you want to achieve. Imagine waking up. One of my uncle, he says that he's realized that work expands to fill the time provided. If you woke up this morning and you don't have anything you want to achieve for the day, you can go and then you decide, oh, okay, my room seems not tidy, let me tidy it. You can go through the day and that's all you do. But if you had 3 things that you wanted to achieve, you could tidy the room and achieve all of that. Maybe you do 2.5 days. But you realize that if you don't give yourself a target, work will just expand to fill the time. And sometimes, as someone who prepares for sermons, I realize that sometimes you can work on a sermon for 2 weeks, and there are times, and just because you have a lot of time to prepare for it, there are times that the invitation comes so short, and yet you still get it. So work would expand to fill the time available for it, and so we need to set goals. Anyone else?
It's a reason to wake up from bed.
Yeah, it gives you a reason to wake up. People who are depressed, and he would know that he's a doctor. They kind of give up on life. They have no goals, nothing to look forward to. So even finding motivation to get out of bed is difficult. But this morning, some of us, maybe if we were not coming here this morning, we would not have woken up as early as we did. Because it was an easy Saturday, and even some of us still managed to get in the routine. But this statement is by Abraham Lincoln. He says, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend 6 hours sharpening the axe. Smart? Or too much learning has made him mad?
Like the Jesus Christ analogy.
Yeah.
30 years to prepare for a 3.5 year mission.
Yeah. Also, imagine the axe was dull. He'll spend more energy, more, get more blisters trying to get this tree down. But if he spends more time just then maybe with 2 swoops, he gets it down. End of the day, the job is done. But at least he's saved because he structured. Wow. He strategized for it better. Thank you, Ejina. So that's what we have to do if our life is going to be better. If you are going to make the most of the 24 hours in a day that you have, the 365 days that you have in a year, the 7 days you have in a week, and guess what? Everyone has saved. But sometimes you look at people and it's like, for them, maybe God gives them 26 hours in a day. Isn't it? You see what they're able to do, what they're able to accomplish, what they're to achieve. And it feels like, no, we have time to become. But it's almost like having a bag that you're traveling with. And my dad was very good at it. When we're traveling, we try to get our things into a bag, and then it seems like it's difficult to because with him, and then he comes, gets all the things out, and then packs them nicely. The same items, clothes that we're trying to get into the same 24-hour bag now fits in even with space because he packaged them well. There's a lot that you can achieve with 24 hours if you plan and package it well. But if you don't plan, it will seem like forcing all your clothes or the same set of clothes into the bag and it won't fit. And it's not because the bag is small, but because you didn't come at it with. Why don't we set goals? Anyone? All of us have our own experience. Otherwise, tell me why somebody else doesn't. Yes.
I am late.
Because she's lazy. And it's true. At times they'll say, oh, life, man's not hot, so we should take things easy. You know. Yes, I saw another hand. Okay. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. You know, no, just after this call. No, let me just finish this WhatsApp message. Right after I'm done with this TV program, I'll do it. So we keep deferring, and then it's 2 p.m. and say, oh, but the days, and then what's the point? Anyone else? There was another, and yeah, comments just to think we're already aware. Okay. Yeah. So we kind of think, oh, I got it. This one, been there, seen that, done that.
Yeah, ignorance of setting goals.
Ignorance. So let's see how many of them we have here. I have the first that's wrong spirituality. And sometimes, especially for Christians, we get there. You know, you say that, oh, Nyamebeye. You know, Nyamebeye, so there's no need. But I find that it is God-like to plan. Because in Isaiah 37, verse 26, he says that, have you not heard long ago? I planned it. From ancient times, I designed, and now I am bringing it to pass. So if a God that you worship is a planner, then you also ought to plan your day, the days that He's given you. And that's why, you know, in the Psalms 90, you say that, so teach us to number our days so that we can apply our hearts unto wisdom. So it is godly, it is in spiritual to plan. You can go give several examples. I mean, planning is so much in Jesus' parables. You know, it talks about which of you, when he's going to build undertake a construction, will not sit down and count the cost. He says, which of you, when he's a king and there's a battle, you'll not sit down to strategize. Can I defeat this guy? And says, when you realize you cannot, you meet him even before. He says, for some, is incompetent. Right. Let's look at the priorities for goal setting. And this is important. Here, I'm going to give you some general principles and share with you a personal guide for how I order things as priority in my life. And priority simply means what you choose to place first or in order of ranking above another. Now, all of us at some point in our lives will come to this point where we need to make a decision. Should I attend to my dad's invitation to come home, or my son's PTA meeting? Or let me even make it more interesting. So you're doing babysitting roles at home. And baby is taking a nap, so he's asleep in the cot. Then you decide to press some clothes for work the next day. Meanwhile, you wanted to get some beverage ready, so you put the kettle on. And then, whilst ironing, your phone rings, then the doorbell rings, then the kettle ring. It gives off the sound, and then baby starts crying because there's now all the sound of it. You know that if you put people in this position, you'll find that people would, and you ask them, which one would you respond to in which order? It will interest you that you think that, oh, this is straightforward. But trust me, there will be some who go for the phone first. Hey, on press or miss a call. And there's some even who can be in here and be reaching for their phone every so often and say, hey, what's up? You know, the phone is important to them. They never miss a call. They'll run from the bathroom to grab it. Because I'm sure we're trying out a banana corner can't. There's some who would go for the kettle. There's some who go for the baby. There's some who would answer the. But all of that is based on what is important to them. So as we're saying that set goals, what I'm saying is that the next point after we define why it's important to set goals is to understand that we need to put priorities, because there will come times when some things will conflict. And in one of our modules on time management, we use the copies, the time quadrant. Yes, maybe I should have added this to it. But I want to give us 3 wise considerations, which are the principles, and then I will share my practice on how I rank things in order of priority in my life. 3 considerations you should have when you are invited or called on to prioritize things. Number 1, you should ask yourself, what is required of me? And that's a question of priority. So at any given point in time, when roles tend to conflict, when demands tend to increase, ask yourself this question. At this moment, at this hour, what is required of me? What is my priority? And we'll be getting to that. Number 2, what gives me the greatest results? Because there are some people who are so multi-talented and so believe they can do everything, of course, through Christ who strengthens them. But there's always one thing that you can do better than the other. So your goal is to find what is it that if I use this hour for would give me the greatest or the best use of this time by results that is achieved. For instance, for the one who is a morning person, if you're in med school, you realize that you should get up early morning to read. But if you kind of think, if everyone seems to be reading, late at night or at prayer, there's some people they just switch off after 10. So find at this hour, at this time of my life. So you either ask yourself the time of your life, at this hour of the day, or whatever thing, what will give me, of all the options that I'm exposed to, what will give me the greatest results? It's a question of potential. Then, what gives me the greatest relevance? You can call it fulfillment. Because although there's several things that you could be doing, there's always one that connects to your mission statement. It brings you fulfillment. It's that thing that you so much desire that if you're on your deathbed, like Jesus was on the cross, you could say that it is finished. What is that it that you want done? So what is of greatest relevance to me? And that's a question of price. So in considering how to prioritize things, ask yourself what should be first, what should be priority, what will give me most results, and what will bring me the greatest fulfillment. I'm going to give you this as a guide, and it's only a guide. It's my personal ranking of priority. I'm not saying that you should pick it automatically, but reflect on how you would prioritize things in your life. So I give you the first. The first is borrowed from scripture. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things that we seek, all other things will be added unto us. I submit that in all our priorities that we should put God first. Then number 2, I have personal development and well-being. I remember that I put a disclaimer that it's only a guide, and so because I know when we get to pray, there might be some who would disagree, and sometimes I get to a point where I say, okay, maybe we can put 2 and 3 on the same level, but however you want to work it out. I put personal development and well-being here because I realize that for most people we put others ahead of us, so much so that we forget ourselves. But when we lose our health, when we lose our ability to make wealth, we cannot be there for family. It's controversial, I know. There's someone say, okay, after God, family. But I think that we need to be alive to take care of family. And I've seen, at least in a few years in medical practice, and also, I think Ben just left, there was a friend of ours who passed. Some of you might know. You know, great guy, 35, married, 2 months, had a stroke. And no matter how much he means well for his family, he became dependent. And so I think that as we look at priorities, you should look at kingdom business, but consider your well-being and your personal development. I put personal development here, not career. Personal development is what you're doing to make yourself better positioned so that you can serve your ministry. If your ministry is business, that's it. Your ministry is church, whatever your career. This is what you prepare yourself to be effective for that field, and not the work. It's a work will come in at a point. And why do I? Okay, when we get down, give the rest of the rush. The next I put family. And so, like I said, you might decide based on how you prioritize things. Decide to put family as a second or third, or say that there's 1, there's 2A, and there's 2B, whichever way you want. But family. Then your career or your professional role that you're called to play. You see, because if you put the career above the family, business goes wrong sometimes. Sometimes it folds up. I mean, through no fault of yours or the companies, maybe they just decide that they are watching tax. They have 5-year tax exemption as experts. So they work for 5 years, and then instead of getting to the 6th year where they would pay the tax, they fold up. Then they will go and remodel and come as a new company. So, but in that period, you've lost your job. If you gave career or profession priority, you would have lost your family by then. You probably would have even lost your own health by then, and lost, I don't know if you will lose God, but certainly you won't find him, you know. So we ought to be mindful of this. So many of us, we put this above family and also above our personal development. And I make a distinction between this and this because, you see, the one who has sufficient personal development, even if he loses his job, he can create one. There are times when the priorities based on circumstances temporarily would shift. You know, there's a time when I was doing a presentation and then someone talked about, you know, she lost her job during the period when she was a nursing mother. You know, she took all the leave, went for a leave, and then when she came, they said they replaced her, etc., etc. So waiting, things like that. And because the company has some nice things they signed, so it absolved them of those things. But she said that during the period while she was at home, you know, she invested in herself so much so that she started a business right from home. You know, so sometimes family can influence. If it's priority to us, it makes us decide that even this job is not worth it because it's taking too much of my time. I don't have a lot of time for my kids. So some of the items here inform those that are lower down. Whichever you put lower down, it means that it's subject to the one on top. So if you put the work above the family, that means that your work decisions would impact negatively on your family. Is that okay? But when you say family, I'm placing family above work. And work makes it such that you can't have time for family. You can say, look, this is not my priority. So if this is the only job, then I'm not working. Then there is friendship and social commitment. And in Ghana, there's a lot to occupy us with that. You know? So this person earns 600 cedis a month. You know, and yet, you see, there is old school reunion. And that's for those who are attending. Everyone needs to get 6 pieces of cloth, yards of cloth. And then once you get a cloth, you know, oh, this cloth green. You should any green shoe anyway, they match. So just gets a shoe for that one. forgetting that next month, this will impact greatly on her livelihood. So when you have to make that decision, you need to ask yourself, what is important at this moment? Can I afford this? And if I have that money, will this be the best use of it? Etc. I'm not saying that all of us should live in no fun, nothing, etc. But you're asking yourself important questions. How you apply your talent, your time, your treasure, your tempo, which is your body, and your total. Then recreation. Everyone needs some good rest. Everyone needs some good vacation. There are some who boast that maybe you must you go leave that. When I started leading the polyclinic, I realized that for some people it's not about loving the work. It's about fear of what people will discover when they go and leave. Accountants, account clerk, what to take what you discover. They don't go leave that. I say, they say, convert it to a money for me. Have 28 days, convert it to money. Because when you talk about but every one of us needs some, and we need to have a plan that says that. So recreation or rest or things we do for fun or relaxation is not just something that happens, but it's also part of your planning. That you say that, well, there are some families that plan annual vacations. There are some people who plan weekly. I'll talk to you about this weekly Sabbaths. So have with your planning, factor in recreation. 35-year-olds, it's not that practicing. But Melbourne, something 20, 25, you come in hypertension. We know that 3% of those who come down with some of these communicable, especially hypertension, 3% is attributed to stress. There's some other factors. They say that for those who do smoking, your risk is increased by 33%, etc. Sedentary lifestyle also has this portion, etc., etc. But you could save yourself some BP scores with some good recreation. So and also this is spiritual. It's godly to rest. Let's get to the.
Could you go back a bit?
Okay.
The like you said, this is how he personally runs it. But number one, I'd like you to be very careful not to put the king's business before the king. Very, very important. So I will just put God there,
Okay.
and make the personal relationship with him and what I do for him kind of distinguish that. Because many of us are busy about doing stuff for God. We don't even know him. And Jesus said, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I say, oh, I never knew you. Okay, so I know that's what he means, but just for clarity, all right? God before his work. God as a person, that personal relationship with him, okay? And then for family, those of you who are married, I strongly suggest that you don't, when you set family goals, separate your spouse from the rest of the family. Otherwise, especially if you have children, you realize that the children will take up everything. And you'll be doing so many things for your family, and yet your spouse will tell you he or she is neglected. They're like, oh, how? But we just went to a Kosovo. Oh, how? But I just brought Christmas chicken. But so I'm telling you from experience, all right? When you come to that, if you have to divide family, your spouse, it takes precedence over your children. It's very biblical. I have a whole Bible study on that if you want. Your spouse comes before your children. You make a vow to your children.
Well, from someone who's married 10 years plus and counting with 5 kids, you can trust his verdict. All right. So let's get to the principles. We've seen the priorities. We're getting to the principles. Now, how do we begin with this whole business of goal setting, goal getting? First is defining your vision. And you can substitute vision with your purpose. So what is it you are about? What gives you the greatest fulfillment? What gives you the greatest excitement? What are your heartfelt passions? What is your experience? So you can't really set goals well if you don't understand why you are here. And so that's why we started off with defining your purpose statement. So define your vision. What easy demand? What do you want your life to what do you want to be remembered for 1 year? If it's planning for the day or for the week, you say, at the end of this week, what do I want to see? Because remember, that's vision. You give me the French for vision.
Vision.
Vision. To see. So what do you want to see at the end of this week, at the end of this day? That's your vision. Then establish your values. And again, there's some times when we've done this corporate, there's people who do corporate strategy, and so there's a debate here and there whether or not I should bring, yes, okay, so the thing I was about strategy and mission after vision. I think that I'll put values right, and maybe even values can be in the vision, because when you understand what your purpose is, it comes along with what your values are. But I want you to define that. If you say that this is where you are going, first define how you are going to do it, the ethics of it. Because if it's just the goal you set, the goal is to pass the exam, and you don't mind how you do it, you can always achieve that goal. But if you actually know that sometimes failure is part of building you up towards making you effective, and especially not when you just purposely, sometimes you just decide that people are really being but you understand that even in your failure, there's something that is gained. Because there's some who pass and God is not excited. There's some business people who are succeeding, but heaven is not rejoicing. Because you see, it's only at the end of life that we realize that what was most important was the applause of God, not the applause of men. But for people, once they seem to be hitting targets, realizing it's okay. No matter how I arrive by it. So if it's Sakawa, it's okay. If it's I sold drugs to they say that making $1 million, so making the next million after your first million is always easy. But the first million is hard. And they said many people will not tell you how they made their first. It should be what? Smart. S for M for A for R for T for. I know in some books you would find realistic. That's in the thinking of the HuD group and next. We think that a realistic goal is almost same as a goal that is attainable. If it's not attainable, then it's an unrealistic goal. So it's kind of a duplication. But it depends on how you define it to mean. So we want to use the word relevant because we are talking about purpose. Because there are people who go and see people climbing up a ladder, and because they know how to climb, they just climb to the top and ask, what are we doing here? There are people like that. Sometimes you meet people in university, you ask them, what are you reading? They say, they gave me. And that person, what it means is that if they had a choice, you wouldn't have come, but I am so they gave me, so we are here. And they are studying at a protest. But when you understand purpose, you ask yourself, is this relevant to my life's purpose? The purpose statement that you are developing. Will this help me fulfill this end that I have inside? And if it's not going to, you decide that it's not relevant. So although everyone is climbing this ladder, they are following the ladder, you will not follow because it's not relevant. So that's why we're using relevant, because we think that it carries greater meaning for it. And then of course time bound. So we'll pick the words, the first letter, each of them in the acronym, and then we'll just throw some light on it. So when we say a goal should be specific, what we mean is that it should be clearly defined and it should be precise, clearly defined and precise. So don't just say I want to be rich. If you are in uni, don't just say I want to do well this semester. What does doing well mean? Is it a CCC or is it PPP? Because sometimes we give ourselves allowance. We don't want to set the target so that we say, but me, I've done well. You say, I got CCC. I said I will do well. This is not fail, so it's okay. But set the target so that you know whether you achieved it or you didn't achieve it. So set the target. If you pick a book, for instance, to read, and say that you're going to read a book a month, and you have a target to read, every day give yourself how many pages you're going to read, so that you know whether you have a deficit or not. The reason why most times we begin our year with great goals, we say we're going to read a book a month, and yet the year ends and we have done half, is because we're really not measuring what success is. But if yesterday you were supposed to do 1 page, and you know you didn't do it, when you pick the book today, you know you ought to do 2 pages in order to keep consistent. And because you know you're also pacing yourself, there's not a lot of pressure on you. But when you don't know how much you should do per day, it's like, okay, today I have time, so you just go at it. Then the drive dies, then you just leave it down. So it's better to plan at it in the long term, break it down into simpler means. So now that we've talked about specific, I just want anyone here who has a goal for next year to just tell us what that goal is. Your goal for next year. Anyone? Or was any goal, just share with us, personal, professional, so that we can use some of them to work through, refine it to fit smart. Develop a mobile app. Oh, okay, okay. So Emmanuel is also better known in other circles as Adam Fa. He deals in luxury goods. But poodles, Shih Tzus, all those kinds, they're fluffy kinds. But he also has Rottweilers for those who are happy. So you can see him after here. But he says his goal is to develop an app for dog service, everything included. All right, let's put our hands together for him. That's his goal. Anyone else? And right now, I just want to clear the goals. At the end, I'll come back to you and ask, can you shape this? Can you make it smart? And then, oh. Okay. So his goal is to finish his mission statement. And actually, all of us need to be. That's how we say, this thing. Oh, you did a good job. I know. I see how the thing goes. Tomorrow, when I sit down, tomorrow after eating, when I sit down, look, 2 minutes, I'm done. We'll do it today. All right, but that's his goal. Let's put our hands together for him. Can we have one more person? One more. Any goal you have, personal, corporate, private, social, family. Anyone has a goal to make a baby this year? Yeah, any goal? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the medical business, and one of my goals, or something I'm actually working on at the moment, is to develop an online consultation platform. And basically, my focus is people who are working, busy people who forget, or perhaps for reasons of poor prioritization, forget completely about their health. And it's not all the time you need to physically be in the clinic to get a consult. So it's something I want to do to make life easier for the professional, the busy professional. It's something I've actually started, and I want to make it mainstream, make it well known within the year.
Let's put our hands together. Great. So everyone think of your goal, and as we're working through, begin to think, how do I make it smart? Next is measurable. Measurable means noticeable, definite, quantifiable. We're not restricting it just to quantifiable because it's not everything that can be measured in terms of weights. So we say kilometers, or I have read 90 pages. That's quantifiable. Or I'm going to walk 5 miles every day. That's quantifiable. But there are some things that you can't put a quantity to, but you can give it a description such that it is noticeable. So noticeable, definite, quantifiable. That is what we mean by measurable. Then A is attainable. Attainable means that it is something that it should be workable, it should be realistic. It shouldn't also be something that is just attack. You know attack target. You know people like that. It reminds me of this boy who, always told his dad that he would dunk. He loved to play basketball, and every day he told his father that his goal was to dunk. You know how they do dunking? You high and then slam the ball into the. So that was it. And every time he was practicing in the courtyard, and one day his father came from work and he called his dad, "Dad, come and see, I can dunk." And his father got interested, so he went to the backyard and was observing the ball, pick the ball, jump on it, slam the ball. But his father was not clapping. Why? Because smart old man. He looked at the loop and realized that the guy had reduced the height. He had reduced the height by a few inches. And some of us, that's what we do with our goals. We never set goals that push us, that stretch us. We always know what we can achieve and say that, oh, he did it. Sometimes mentioning can be helpful because it keeps you sane. Because sometimes we set a target for some scores. So you set it up where you know that Charlie, this one is above sea level, so you float. But you know what is in your capacity. What we're asking here is that don't keep it low. And also don't keep it way. You're someone who has never done reading in a year. And then you start to say, oh, this year there are 100 books. In as much as it is good to be ambitious and all of that, I was going to say something about the one district one, but let's carry on. Then next, it should be relevant. It should be relevant. And I explained it when I was making the distinction, so I'll not keep time on it again. Then lastly, it should be time bound. So by time bound, we're saying that is it short term, is it medium term, is it long term? And sometimes it's even within the day, but put a time to it. When should this be accomplished? Let me introduce you to this, and then we'll get to the practice. What are the spheres of goal setting? Working back from the priorities, you realize that there are some categories. So we're just going to fold them into some needs structures, so that when we get into the planning, you can use that, or based on what model you want to develop, you use that. But for us in the HuD group, we believe that you can work with these 5 spheres of your life. The spiritual, where you lean on God. The mental, where you learn. So what are the mental? You ought to set spiritual goals for every year, for every day, for your life. Mental goals, how are you improving yourself, to be personal development wise, etc. What are you reading? What are you learning? Then social goes to love. So goes for the family, goes for the work, goes for the spouse. Goes for friendship or social commitments, etc., etc. Then physical, to live, to stay alive, to stay healthy, your finances, your health, your health and your wealth, physical. Then your career, in your career you lead, So how do you set goals in all these areas? So this is a template that we use. And when you look into your, when you look into what we gave you, you'll find two templates. One is headed My Personal Growth Plan. Then the other one is headed, is titled My Professional Growth Plan. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So this is for personal. We talked about the team. Let's fail this and let's get to practice. Strategy for goal setting. We do short term, which is called the noun time planning, the medium term, 2 to 3 years, then the strategic, which is 5 years, 5 years plus. Some will say there's the tactical, I think, when you're doing this before, it's gets interesting. There's a tactical plan, there's the operational, and there's the strategic. And all that it means is that just understand that there's one that is a noun time, there's one that is medium term, and there's one that is longer term. I'm using this as an example, and let's see if we can identify some of the principles we have learned, and then we can work on ours. This is a template that a lady developed, and I don't know her, but reading her goal, I could tell what profession she was into. So she says, my goal, I'm a university lecturer, and my goal is to be able to speak comfortably, confidently, and clearly in front of university students for a 2-hour class. Now, that is smart, isn't it? Because it is specific, it is measurable. Now, here's what I was talking about when I go to measurable and say, don't only rely on quantifiable, because there are certain things you can't quantify. She hopes to improve her public speaking, but you can't say, I want to speak 2 kilograms or 2 kilometers. So what she says is that she puts a description to make her target clearly defined. She says it should be what? Comfortable, then confident, and she should be clear. So when she's achieved that, then she knows that she's hit the measure. So this is the goal, and then she sets dates. She says today's date is 12 June 2006, and completion should be December 2006. So she sets a time span. She was doing a mid-year review, like it was June to December. Now the other part, then she begins to set objectives. Objectives you'll find as actions. She says that first action, I need to attend a public speaking course. Resources needed. It says $200 for a weekend, because you need to budget for the resources that you need. And you don't just hope that somehow just writing it, then you'll find the resources. So she plans for it. Measurement of completion. How do I measure that I have done this? Measurement is attending the course. So not the hope that I would attend, but actually attending the course. And then target date. Remember, she hopes to achieve this goal by this date. So all the actions that she itemizes, she must have what? Timelines to it. Otherwise, she'll be caught up at 1st December and she hasn't done all the rest and she's trying to cram everything in. Are we together? So she goes like September 2006. By that time, I ought to have cleared this one. So you realize that status, she's checked it. So in December, when she had ended, she had checked all her things. The next, she says, read 2 books on public speaking. Remember her goal. Her goal is working on improving presentation, delivery, etc. So all the actions she's describing is things that are going to enhance or get her well seated to achieve those goals. Are we together? So she says $50 for 2 books. The measurement of completion is read the books. Oh, many of us we buy the books and then we shelf them. Of course, I say, oh,
Sitting up on Red Bull.
so me, I get books. Oh, what before? This book I have. Now when you go, you see it has all the books. But we need to make sure that the measurement of completion of the task is not in the purchasing of the books, but in the reading of it. So she sets a timeline. Then join Toastmasters. And oh, did you know that he was a Toastmaster champion? Yeah. So join Toastmasters. And all of this is just for a university lecturer. But you realize that you ask yourself, is it relevant to join Toastmasters? She didn't say that she's not joining just because she found that her friends were joining, but because she realizes that it will fit her purpose. And that's what we talk about relevance. So she says, join Toastmasters. So if you have a friend like this and she joins Toastmasters, she's paying that sum. And then say, oh, my friend is joining, so I also join. You might join, but you might not achieve the same purpose because you really even didn't know what this was about. Then, so the rest is the same. Then take opportunities at the university in public speaking. So sometimes the university organizes symposia, etc. Maybe they want an MC, etc. etc. She'll take up those opportunities. Then next, rate confidence of each talk. Download weekly goal setting sheet, self-examination, etc. etc. So this is just, if you like, an idea. So when we move to what we have, we're moving to what we have. Okay, so my personal growth plan. You now write the sphere that you want to focus on. There are some, and you can adapt this for your purposes. There are some who would need 5. Remember, we looked at 5 spheres: spiritual, where you live; social, where you love; mental, where you learn; physical, where you live; career, where you lead. There are some who, for the personal one, they will need 5 because there are so many actions to write that if they put all 5 of them here, they will not have enough space. So for them, what I say is that write your sphere here. So if physical, for instance, you just write physical here. So what it means is that you will need to produce 5 of this to get your personal one complete. But if you are the kind who has few targets or goals, and you can just put physical, social, mental, spiritual, physical. So you can choose to do that now. Physical, spiritual, social, mental, spiritual. And all you can neglect the sphere or just write personal there. But if you are the kind, again I'm saying, if you are the kind who has a lot of things to plan for, then you will need how many? 5 or maybe even more, because there are some who for each one they will need 3. So that's 15. You know, oh friends, you are but there's some guy who has collected so many sheets. Sometimes it's not in the multitude of the words. But so I have it there: spiritual, physical, social, mental, career. So you fill down that way. Then you now get, when you speak physical, you ask yourself, what is my physical goal for the year? All those who said goals, some gave us professional ones. Was there anyone who gave us a physical one? So we say your physical, your health, your wealth. Put that together. Can anyone just give us a physical goal?
I want to learn how to swim by the end of the year.
Okay. Why do you want to learn how to swim?
Because it's one of the skills that I need to have for life.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I'll add to it.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I would want to learn how to swim is that the June disaster. I said that a lot of people.
I get that. What I wanted us to put in the Yes, because we're going to get to actions, and when we go to actions, I'm going to ask you what are some of the things you intend to do this year to improve your health. Then the swimming bit will now be stated, but if we state it here, then it's like we have captured the action as the if you like the vision of a sort. So who can help me out? I mean, it's difficult to say to be in good health because it doesn't seem smart. But at some point you ask yourself, can we measure health? Can we go to the trim temple? All right. So yes, you want to lose weight, but how much? Anyone give me a smart physical goal? You know, I went through this. I still came up with to be in great health and save 12% of personal income. So I am putting health and wealth together. And so when I write physical here, that's the indicator or the sphere. The goal is to be in great health and save 12% of personal income in the year. Remember, my start date is January 1st to completion is this. So having said this, I now ask myself, what 3 actions am I going to take to accomplish this physical goal of being in great health and saving this much? So 1, I say exercise 3 times weekly for 30 minutes. So it's what I will be swimming. So if somebody, and again, the goal here is to put in something that you would understand. If you were writing it, you say swim how many, this number of times for etc. etc. But make sure that each time you're writing in it, that you ask yourself, is this measurable? Is this attainable? Because you are not a fish, so you can't say that you will swim 20 hours in a day. You obviously know that this won't work. So it's not attainable. Unless you have Michael Phelps, you know. And here he sleeps in water. So that will be number 1 there. Then I reduce intake of refined sugar by 1 kilo every meal. Quantifiable, isn't it? So that's somebody who is diabetic or who maybe has high risk and decides that maybe all starch be sugar, so I don't even need that much. And for some it would have to be a carbonated or fizzy drink that they would have to put in there. But there are some when they go to parties, it's like they made it for them. It's a man fight. You know, so that will be another action that you want to accomplish. Then you find another one. So you say we are also looking at wealth. So you say to save 500 cedis monthly with, and not just save, we in the HuD will recommend investing. Because you save and you realize that inflation has chopped all the money. So invest this in this tool with this bank or this investment firm. And then you now ask resources. Remember, first was exercise. So if yours was swimming and you don't have one in your house, you know that you are going to plan for how much the trainer will take or how much the pool it costs to use it, etc., etc. So you work your resources, then your timelines. So when should you have accomplished this? Then status. So I put status there because we want to ensure we are constantly monitoring. So if this goal is a year-long goal, and what I can decide to do is do quarterly monitoring. So when I come this first quarter, what I do is that I ask myself, what's the status of this goal? Maybe it's in progress, I have accomplished it, or I am still on course, etc. But I take note of that, like Q1, this is it. Then evaluation. We have 0 to 3. So if you say it is on course, because sometimes we just, you know how we do present reports to our bosses, say, oh, on course, on course, no, yeah. So in order for this to be meaningful, we want to quantify all the on course. So if the goal was to exercise 30 minutes 3 times a week, and we are evaluating quarter 1, you're going to score yourself either 0, 1, 2, 3, based on how well you did that quarter. So if you are able to do it fairly well, you give yourself 2 or 3. If you're not able to do it so well, 1. So you shade. Then you come to the next one. What was the next goal? You said to reduce intake of sugar or carbonated drinks by, you know the quantity, so you drop it. Then you were able to do this one very well. So another 3. This one we have 2 and we have 3. Then the next one was to save 500. You chop all the money, you didn't save 0. So here you have a total of 2 plus 3, 5 plus 0, 5. So you find the average. 5 divided by 3 is what? Oh, now what's my math? Science and math, please. 5? 1.67. Now look down the sheet. You realize that there is an assessment scale there. There is 4, which is 0 to 1. There is marginal, which is 1.1 to 1.4. There is average, which is 1.5 to 1.9. There's good, which is 2. So for this goal of physical, you realize that for quarter 1, for this goal of physical, for quarter 1, this was your performance. So what you now do is that you say to yourself that in quarter 2, if this was my performance in Q1, then in Q2, I either maintain this or improve on it. So you looked at where there were shortcomings and then you up those sides so that you'll be pushing more towards the 3. But if at the end of quarter 2, you come back to evaluate physical goals and you have fallen short of the glory of God, then you know that you are not, by December, you will not be what? Achieving it, because you are now on the way to strike oil. You are going down. Is that clear? So that is the principle. So what you do is that the next one you pick, for instance, I have one on mental, to become widely knowledgeable, increasing personal and global awareness. So that's the goal. I can't quantify a mental goal to a certain description, but I give this description. So my action points were to read 1 personal development book a month as an action under that. Next, attend seminars, conferences, or short courses that would help achieve this goal. Then next, read journals, newspapers, etc., etc., to gain a sense of global awareness. So if you set this as your mental goal, develop the fine print, the set actions, then the targets. All of them can't be December. Some of them have to be achieved before December. So, for instance, Melvin gave us one of the app, for instance. So if you set the app as one of his professional goals, then, or maybe he says it in career, he should then be able to say, no, he knows what are the targets or the actions that need to be done in order to achieve them. So he lists all of them, maybe raise funding, get partners, do the design or something like that. Then you ask yourself, at the end of quarter 1, how much have I achieved? Then you score yourself. And I'm saying this is so key because sometimes we even tell ourselves we're doing well, but it's only because we are processing it and we think we're doing well. But when you have a tracker that says that last quarter, in terms of developing myself mentally, I performed 2.0, and this quarter I have done 1.2. Although I've done better than my friend, that was not the target, and I'm not going to hit it. So I need to revise the quarter. Are we clear? So that's for the first case. The scoring, all I'm saying is that this is one goal, it's physical. So put all your physical scores together. So, and that's why I say some people are physical, they set more than 3. So that's why I say for them, they will need a whole one sheet for one, because there's some who can set as many. So you then put physical here instead of putting it here. But if you put it here, you restrict yourself to only 3, because the next one might be mental, and mental will also take that space. But if you want more space to list actions, then put your physical here, and then describe the goal. The goal is to be good health and see 5% of you, and then list your actions. So here we have put it here, and we have listed 3 things. We are evaluating. We said that, oh, the first one I did quite well, so 2. The next one I did so well, so 3. The next one, maybe I didn't do too well, so 1. So 2 plus 3 plus 1, that's 6. 6 divided by the average, where average is 3, that's 2. So for this one, in quarter 1, I had 2. So you put it by that side. You can actually do a total score. You do that for this 2, and then do for mental, you get 3. You do for spiritual. Spiritual, you can set targets like being effective, your personal quiet time, etc., etc. And then you do all that score. Maybe you get you can't get 4 on this 3. You get 2.5. Then you go to social. You have all of that. Then you strike the average of all 5, and you can still check how globally for all 5 you performed. So you have a global score and also a specific score for each target. Is that okay? The next one, the principle is the same. The other sheet, the professional, is the same principle. You will be filling it. So and it says professional growth plan, and here is department. By department, if you are in marketing, accounts, or your work title. If you are the entrepreneur, you write an entrepreneur there. The indicators, I've done some examples. For instance, if you're in the marketing team, it becomes the same. Just as we have written fiscal here, you write marketing. So the marketing goal is to increase sales by 20% for that year. So marketing, increase sales by 20% for that. How do we achieve that? Train our sales and marketing teams 2 times in a year. Attend relevant conferences and networking opportunities. Then sponsor carefully selected events to publicize our brands. So those are the 3 actions that you set in order to increase sales by 20%. Are you with me? If you're in procurement, your goal might be achieve less than 5% losses while maintaining no more than 15% variation in an annual budget plan for procurement. So that becomes the goal. Then you work out. So how do I achieve this? You put the targets there, etc., etc. If you are in admin department or HR, you say to improve client or staff satisfaction through the year. Some actions will be develop new protocols and align staff, training for competence, etc., etc. All right. So in sum, that's about it. The rest is now with you to sit down and say, I'm going to implement it. And trust me, if you did it today, the chances are you would do it. Like you did it tomorrow, 50% will finish it. Those who will do it at the end of the week, only 20% will get to do it. So that's it with the presentation. I think that I would take questions I think that's good. All right. Finally, there are 3 kinds of people. Number 1, those who make things happen. Number 2, those who watch things happen. And finally, number 3, those who don't know what happened. In life, there are always these kinds. Your skills will go setting and go getting would make the difference between whether you be the one who makes things happen, or the one who will watch things happen, or the one who will wonder whatever happened. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your attention. Now I say the ball is in your court. God bless you. Questions? Questions? Either from Doc's presentation or mine? Quickly. Doc.
The timeline, you said it's maybe from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So that it will be more
how you are using this sheet. Like I said, you can adapt this to say it's a yearly one, and in that case, it will be difficult to write 9 a.m. because your timeline is when you hope that this target will be accomplished. Okay, but if you're using it as a weekly one, it's more easier to put specific time to it. What I would recommend you do is that attach the time to the action. So you're saying that you want to read from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. each day. What? Do you understand what I mean? So attach the time to the action so that then you don't have to now wonder, should I put it to the timeline? Because the timeline is, you're hoping that you are going to read 12 books or etc. When do you expect to finish? So that's like our end time. But this one becomes the action itself. You want to read between these hours. So you should put it there that this is the action I want to take. I'm traveling from Accra to Kumasi and it's going to be between 12 to 6. So if you want to read during that period, develop it as part of the action. To read every day between the hours of 3 a.m. or sorry, anyway, 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. daily. So it's part of the action itself. Does that help? Okay, wonderful. Yes, anyone else? Question?
Yeah,
Or Dr. Baby?
To make the best out of this, we advise that you state your mission, your economic mission, then you go into the goals of the country put in isolation.
No, you really would have to do the purpose statement. Because I think all of this flows from, it's like not knowing why people are playing a football game, or you just get there and say, oh, I'm playing. They might pounce on you and beat you up. Because Yache has shown 6-6. Now they will do as you, I want to enjoy. So you start kicking the ball. So first define what your life, what you really want to achieve, what you want to see as. Then you set out those targets. I think it will help you do this better rather than really working that way. It's just an advice.
In the job submission, he stated that it's very possible that you may not be able to outline clearly a full mission statement in a day. Well, it's for you, it can be an ongoing discovery.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and even for me as well. So what we're saying is that rather than say that I will not get to work on anything, work with what you have for today. So this is what you have crafted today as the mission statement. Tomorrow, as you gain more perspective, you grow more wiser, you are going to improve that and maybe even implement. But you can't use tomorrow's knowledge to create today. As in what you are hoping you will learn tomorrow, you're waiting to learn it before you can use it to. So use what you have today, and then tomorrow when you get a little bit more wiser or even more specific on the purpose, you can always improve this. That's that's way I think is. I don't know, Doc, you want to?
Yeah, I think it's a good question because I think it's a question of integration. How do we integrate what we did earlier in the morning with this one? So one of the ways we describe it in the HuD group is that your purpose in life is like this big tall wall you want to get on top of, because we all want to live a life that is disciple, brings God glory, worship, that all the 5 things we talked about. Right? The goals are like a ladder that help you to get on top of that wall. All right. So all that we talked about in purpose is creates a framework, because the thing is, whether or not you're beginning to discover your specific purposes, you still know the general purposes. Like whether or not God is calling you to be a doctor or nurse, you still know that God is calling you to serve. Right? So without even knowing all the details yet, you still have this general framework within which you can set your goals. So purpose comes first, and then based on purpose, you set goals. Actually, personally, when I set my goals, I make sure there's a goal for my spiritual goals. I actually use the 5 things. what is my goal this year regarding discipleship, regarding community, regarding worship, regarding service, regarding mission. So, because you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that because this is God's purpose for you, right? So it is the big framework, and then the goals are like a ladder up that wall. Does it help a bit? You know, and it'll get clearer as you develop. Like, so every year I modify my mission statement. Like 99% of it is the same. It's been the same for maybe 15 years or whatever, however long I've had it. But every year I tweak it a bit, because our knowledge of God and ourselves